Hello and a good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you, good morning people of the tube. Hope today, hope you're feeling grand and knows where in the world. Hello there everybody. Today's vid people of tube, I want to talk about the joys of wireless. I've got to be honest, wireless is something that I never ever thought I would be interested in pursuing. I was always like, no, I need a lead into the guitar, I need to feel like I'm connected to this, that and the other. You know, I need that's what I need. I don't do wireless, you know, And this is two people's fault that I have now gone wireless and absolutely love it to bits. The first person I got to blame is Boss, because Boss very kindly sent me like a little kind of like a wireless thing. It was like a receiver and a dongle thing. I did a video on it actually. Was it last year? I don't remember. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that, and I used it for a gig once, and I was like, this feels great. Like, I've got one lead coming from my amp to my pedal board, and it's out the way, and I don't have any guitar lead going from me to my guitar, and the stage is clearer because I don't have to worry about this, and I don't have to worry about tripping over the lead and getting round it and it getting all kind of tangled and all this kind of thing. And I was like, really liked it, and there was never 1 second where I was like, oh, but it doesn't sound as good. I couldn't perceive a difference if there was a difference. Anyway, that kind of got me going. And then at the time, I tried Karina's wireless unit. She had the, well, I'm going to talk about this one in a sec. She had one of these. It was the model below this, and I'm going to talk about what it is in a sec. But, and I thought, I'll just give it a go, you know, because it's a bit more, you know, a little bit more expensive than the one that Boss very kindly sent to me. And I fell in love with her wireless unit, and I was like, I've got to get one of these. So, Boss and Karina, it's your fault that I've now gone to, I can't call it the dark side, it's a wicked side. I love it to bits. I've gone to the wireless side. And I really do love it. And I say, live, it's so freeing. I can really see why people, like, you know, do like wireless live. It is very freeing. It really is free. It feels good as well to me. I really, really, really like it. So, the wireless I use, people with Tube, is the Shure GLX-D, the GLX-D plus dual band digital wireless thing, this thing here. And you can see it on my pedal board there, and this is the receiver here in this little pack. I've got it protected in there for live use, because just in case. And it's just insane. So I thought what I would do today, people with Tube, is, you've heard it in the intro, Gem. You've seen me wander around my house and act the goat and be a bit of an idiot. It wasn't my best playing to date, because I was just wandering around the house, not trying to break the headstock off my guild, you know, on something, and just kind of being really aware of it. But there is something very fun and liberating about being wireless and free, and just having this attached to the strap, and you just kind of you can just wander around, and again, there's no lead coming out your pedal board. There's nothing that's going to get kind of like tangled and smot raffled and all that kind of thing. So it's really pleasant. And so I thought what I'll do today is basically talk a bit about, you know, why I love it, which I've kind of already have done. And then what I thought we'd do, people with Tube, is do a bit of a shootout between the wireless and a guitar lead. Because there's loads of people who say, oh, you know, it sounds different, it makes everything respond weird, and it's all strange, and you know, it doesn't quite sound the same as a lead. Personally, I don't hear much of a difference, if any difference whatsoever, to be perfectly honest with you, between me going from a guitar lead to the wireless. I don't really feel any different. You know, there's nothing that makes me go, oh yeah, that's massively different. Plus, I see so many people using these Shure GLXs. You know, I've seen Phil X use it, Nita Strauss uses it. Like, so many people at a professional level use these things. And I just keep thinking, like, you know, that can't be a bad thing. Another really cool thing about this is when you turn that on, it becomes a tuner as well, and a mute. So it mutes your signal and is also an extremely good little tuner. So having this on your board negates the need for a tuning pedal, which is super cool. And also you can plug, if your wireless pack dies, and I went for my phone then instead of a wireless, if your wireless pack dies, say, you know, you let the battery die, or whatever happens, the receiver fails during a gig, you just have a lead nearby, and you can plug a guitar lead in there, and you're back up and running. And you've still got the mute, which is really, really cool. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what's not to love, to be honest with you. It's digital wireless as well. So, I just think digital wireless is better than it used to be. I remember having, like, old wireless units that were kind of like radio frequencies, and you'd get the local cab rank running through your amp. It was a bit dodgy. Or anybody on a walkie-talkie or something. You know, digital seems to get rid of that as a problem. And again, I really, you know, the Shure ones are expensive. They're about 400 and something odd quid. But I really, 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 really recommend them if you're thinking of going wireless. I absolutely love this one. If this one broke, I'd be buying a new one when I could afford to, that is. But I would be buying another one of these because I just think they're brilliant. They seem robust as well. Like I say, I've got mine protected now. Initially, let me take this out. Let me show you a couple of things here, people, before we get into the kind of the playing bits and what's not. So let me take this out of here. So initially, I just had it like this. Then this is the receiver. No, sorry, this is the. It's not the receiver, is it? What is it called? I'm so stupid with these kind of things. It's just the wireless. That's the receiver. So this is the wireless kind of like, this is the thing that sends a signal out. And because I use big words. And initially my idea was like, how am I going to kind of, because I need to be able to change guitars, but I don't want this on my belt. I just don't like the feel of it on my belt, because that's kind of like, you get this clip, you can see it there, and it kind of attaches to your belt. And initially I was like, how am I going to do it so I can change guitar but not have this on my belt, because I didn't want it on my belt because I was a bit afraid of the lead length and other silly live Dave moments that we're not going to get into. So I was like, I want it to attach to the guitar strap. So initially what I did is I just put Velcro on the back here and got Velcro on the strap and just basically took it off and on, and that works really, really well. This thing doesn't weigh anything, you know what I mean? It really doesn't weigh anything at all, and that works. But the most recent thing is, because I realised I tend to get a bit carried away live, and after I kind of like started to damage this, I thought maybe I should find some kind of like protective covering for it so I don't kill it. So I found this, which was a phone holder for a laptop bag, and basically what I've done is I've got these little bits of foam that go in there, wedge it in there, nice and neat. It's sealed, and then also it's got this kind of like Velcro strap bit on the back, so I can just take it on and off any guitar strap I want now. But yeah, it's just ace. I love it, and I've also done this to the lead as well because I don't want it to break at that point. Like if it bends or whatever or comes away, I don't want it to break there. So I've kind of done the Roger Daltrey microphone taping lead trick thing on there, just so it doesn't break basically at that point. You can get spare ones of these. I wish they did one with like an angle jack as well, but I think they might, but I don't know. Most people I see, they just have the straight jack like that. It's not the biggest be all and end all for me because again, mostly I use Strats, so I've got the recessed jack socket, so it's not really a worry to be honest with you. But it would be nice to have the option. But again, this is the one I recommend. I love it to bits. Like I say, if this broke, I'd be getting another one. So I think further ado, people of YouTube, let's do a little example here. Let's do a tone example. So where's that other lead? Oh, it's up there. So first thing you're going to hear is the guitar going through the pedal board on a lead. And then the next thing you'll hear is a guitar on the wireless. And I'll go from kind of like a dirty clean kind of tone, the golden plexi on, and then I'll kick on the Marshall Governor over the top of that and do some big kind of stuff for about 30-40 seconds. And then you'll hear the wireless after that. So, yeah, and just let's see if there's any difference, shall we? So let me move this out of the way. And, yeah, hope this makes some kind of sense by now, anyway. Hope so. Anyway, let's get into this. people tube, there you go. That's the two sound examples. You heard the guitar lead first, and you heard the wireless second. So there is a difference. There is a difference. I'm not going to say there isn't, because there definitely is. To me, the lead had you could hear like the loading of the lead. Like it was like a little bit darker. And then when we went to the wireless, it was a tad brighter. It wasn't like, oh my god, that's so different. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, you can definitely hear like a huge difference, because it wasn't a huge difference. It was, it was a little bit different. It was, I would say, on the wireless, it was a tad more presence to the sound. It was a little bit brighter, a little bit more kind of like clear, if you will. Like, like I say, with the guitar lead, you could hear it was a little bit darker, a little bit kind of like, woollier sounding, if that's the word to use there. Both sounded fantastic. I'd be happy with both. But in a live context, I adore the wireless. When I'm not playing live, I don't use the wireless. I don't use the wireless around the house. I use the wireless only for live, because I love the freedom it gives me on stage. I love the freedom of being able to get out amongst the crowd and interact with them. I like the freedom of being able to do silly guitar things and not be tangled up with a guitar lead. And I also love not having coiled up cables like this at my feet. Like I say, I don't use effects loops, so when I put my pedal board down on the stage, there's one lead going from my amp to my pedal board, and that's it. There's no other leads. So not being hindered by anything coming out from anywhere else really makes a difference to how I feel when I perform. I feel a lot freer, and I feel like I can kind of like move around a lot more. I'm not going to get tangled up. I'm not going to bump into things and fall over a lead or anything like that. I love it to bits. Like I say, when I'm at home, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I don't need to use the wireless in this room. I haven't got enough space to really warrant using it. You know what I mean? But live, I absolutely adore it to bits. So if you are looking for a wireless unit, highly recommend the Shure one. If you want a bit more of a budget one, there was the Boss one, which actually, one sec. Okay, YouTube. So this is the Boss one that they very, very kindly sent me. It's the WL20, and this is about 150 quid. These are about 450 odd-ish, give or take, but this is a lot cheaper. And again, this is cool as well. The only thing I didn't like about this was, I'll show you what I didn't really particularly like about this. I didn't like how much it stuck out from the guitar. So, with the Shure wireless, you have the usual lead. But with the Boss one, when you plug it in, you got this huge clunky plastic thing sticking out the guitar. And that was one of my kind of like little gripes about that, to be honest with you. I mean, again, it's nothing that kind of like, I wouldn't be able to get over. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't bother me too much. I wouldn't be like, oh my god, I can't live like this. But because when I used it live, it didn't really matter. But my one fear with this, and kind of in general, was being a bit rough with it. I don't know how much punishment this would take. Whereas the Shure wireless, being metal enclosure, it's a lot more sturdy. But again, you expect that for the more you pay, you would expect it to be kind of like up there and a bit more robust. The Boss one being only 120 odd quid or whatever I just said, you'd expect it to be, it's a plastic housing, it is a lot cheaper, but still sounds fantastic and is ace. And again, I've used it live, loved it, and again, Boss, this is your fault, by the way. And again, Karina, it's your fault as well. But yeah, so that was the first one I got. That's what kind of started this kind of off. But like I said, I really love this Shure one. I love the fact it's a mute and a tuner. You've got different abilities to have different kind of like, like bandwidths and stuff like that of different channels. You can see how much battery you've got left as well, which I really, really love. You've got like a battery meter there, and you can see if it's low, you can charge it. The really cool thing is with the Fender engine room level 12 here, I've got a USB out, so I can actually charge the wireless receiver off my pedal board if, like, say for instance, like I did we were doing a gig and like I plug in the wireless and find it's a little bit low, I can plug in my wireless quick and just charge it. Just enough it'd probably be enough to get through a gig easy. So that's really, really cool. But again, I do love the feel of wireless. It's something I never, ever thought I would say. But I love that. I love to be humbled by stuff like that. It was like until last year, kind of like, Seymour Duncan pickups were never my thing. Well, not last year, a couple of years back. But Seymour Duncans were never my pickup of choice. Like, every time I tried a guitar with Seymour Duncan pickups, I was a bit like, no, I don't really like this. In the first ever Oswald I had made, I had SSL 1s, and I didn't like them at all. I really did not like them. And I've tried a couple other guitars with Seymour Duncans, didn't like them. And then I got my Chapman Pro X, which has 2 single coil Seymour Duncans in the neck and middle and a humbucker in the bridge. And I just fell in love with that guitar to the point, like I say, where I haven't done a gig without it since. Where I am, it is, I love that guitar to pieces. Especially now I've kind of made it aesthetically more me. The guts of it are still stock, apart from the volume pot, which I changed to a 1 meg. But I've been thinking of changing back to the 500 recently. I don't know. We'll see where I go with that one. But all of a sudden I was like, well, that's humbled me about Seymour Duncan pickups. And then when I got the Dave Murray signature scratch plate from Seymour Duncan to use in Red Giant, I was even more like, whoa. I'm sold now. So basically live, all I use now is Seymour Duncan pickups, which is, again, if you had said that to me in 2019, 2020, that I would be using Seymour Duncan pickups only for live, I'd be like, no, I don't like Seymour Duncan pickups. What are you on about? Same thing goes to the wireless. If you had said, like, that one day, oh, by the way, Dave, you'll be on a wireless system one day, I'd be like, no, I won't. No, I don't do that. I do guitar leads. I like to be da-da-da-da. But here we are. And again, I love that thing of being humbled by gear and also kind of like questioning. And I think you should question your own kind of like things every now and again. Like, the idea of kind of like, I only ever use this, I only ever do that and the other. To put yourself out there into a world where it's kind of like, well, I don't know, let me try this, let me see what happens. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh. It's a very cool thing to do, I think. And I think it's something that's very important that we all do at some point. We should all be humbled, like, by stuff and kind of not hold on to our beliefs so strongly all the time. You know what I mean? I don't think that's the best thing in the world. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It depends of the situation. It's situation dependent. But on stuff like this, for instance, like, I never thought I'd have a wireless receiver and a wireless unit for live. I never thought I'd be like, no, I'm a guitar lead guy. And then the same thing goes with like I said, Seymour Duncan pickups, humbuckers live as well. For the longest time, I was like, no, I use single coils live. And to be honest with you, single coils are still my favourite pickup of all time. I still adore single coils and use them all the time. I really do. 99% of the time when I'm at home playing guitar, I'm playing my white Strat single coils or my other Strats or whatever with single coils. But live, again, humbled by the silence of a humbucker. Because, again, like I said, Red Giant's got a lot of stops and starts and certain other bits and pieces where when I was using single coil pickups, the 50-60 cycle hum was kind of detracting from that. It was getting rid of the kind of dramatic kind of pauses and stuff like that, and I was like, it's not working. And as soon as I switched to the Seymour Duncans, in first the Chapman and now the 59 and the Chapman, I was just like, there it is, that's it. Will I use single coils again? Yeah, of course I will. Technically, I do use single coils. My Chapman has 2 single coils. They're noise cancelling single coils, but they are still single coils, and I do use them live. But will I use 3 single coils again, just like a stock Strat? Yeah, happily. But for certain things with Red Giant, the humbuckers fit better. And again, that's something where you've got to, same with the wireless thing, sometimes you have to put what you believe is best aside for what is actually best for, like, for instance, the sound of the band, humbuckers just work better. With the songs, humbuckers work better. You know, the dramatic stops and starts work so much better when it's quiet. And if I was just to kind of like be stubborn about it and go, no, I'm using single coils and damn everything, those stops and starts would not be as dramatic because you'd have like, you know, you'll be able to get the volume down and stuff like that. But you still have that brief split second to turn the volume all the way back up to where it is to get these things. And it's a nightmare. Whereas with the humbuckers, it makes it so much easier. And like I say, just being open to change like that, I think is really, really important for anyone. Not just in music either. Not just like in musical gear, writing music. You know, I reckon in everyday life, I think change, and again, I've been through a lot of change recently. Well, at the point of filming this video, again, this is coming out next year now. But so much change has been going on in my life recently, and I've just had to go with it. And it's painful. Change is painful. Growth is painful. You know, everything like that is painful. And there are points where you're like, you know, do I really want this kind of thing? But like, you know, but I do think it's kind of important to kind of just embrace change and because you never know, you know, it might be the best thing you ever did. Like going wireless live, that hurt, has just been an absolute revelation for me. I love it to bits. Like going back to a lead, even in here now, feels funny. Like I felt, even in the example I was doing just then, I felt that I played better with the wireless than I did without it. I felt I played freer. And I know that sounds really stupid, but I think there is a psychological thing there of not having a guitar lead trailing down on the floor or running against your leg or whatever, and you don't feel like you're going to trip over it. I reckon there is some kind of like, there is a psychological thing that happens to a performer when, or a musician in general, like when they have a wireless pack on their guitar or bass or saxophone or whatever they're playing, and they don't feel tethered. And you have freedom of movement. You can just go anywhere you want. You can move around. You can do what you do. I reckon there is a psychological effect, and I reckon that freeness that it gives you makes you play freer. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it feels like it to me. You know what I mean? I feel a lot more... Like, just then, I felt more comfortable on the wireless than I did the lead. And again, if you had told me that years ago, I'd have called you a liar. But anyway, there we go. But anyway, people of the tube, let me know your thoughts on some of the stuff I've said. I'd be very curious to read your comments on this one. Like I said, I'd be very curious. But again, if you're in the market for a wireless unit, I can't recommend these ones enough. The Boss, WL20, and the Shure GLX-D Plus. Again, expensive, not so expensive, but both do the job really well. This one doesn't have as much range as this one, obviously. It doesn't have the features that this one has, obviously. But it's still a wicked, valid choice to get. I love this one as well. To be honest with you, I think I'm going to start taking this one out in my gig bag just as a backup, just in case this one fails, just so I've still got wireless if I need it. That won't be a bad idea, actually, because look at it. It's tiny. So I can just go into my gig bag. But I do love this one. I absolutely love the Shure wireless. It's fantastic. It's easy to use. The receiver and the transmitter feel like, you know, it's metal. They feel robust. I love the fact it's got a tuner in it as well. So, you know, if you don't have a tuner on your board and you want wireless, you know, it's dual function. You know, it's more than dual function. It's got loads of things. If this does fail, you can just plug in a guitar lead. You know, you have a guitar lead nearby. You just go, boop, into your guitar, and away you go. Sorted. I always have a guitar lead right near my pedal board, just in case. Or on my amp. If I can't put it near my pedal board, I just have it on my amp head. Just in case if my receiver goes down or whatever, I can just go into this and that and the other. This is a newer version. The older versions do not have that. Karina's, for instance, didn't have the input at all. It just had an output. So with that one, if that failed, if your receiver failed if your transmitter failed or your receiver failed, you would then have to unplug it and then go into your last pedal. That's not really an issue for me because, like I say, we've got that. But if I did have that one, I'll just basically unplug this patch lead, guitar lead in there. Jobs are good. There's always ways around things, people with tube. It really is. But anyway, love this to bits. Absolutely amazing wireless. This is an amazing wireless. Wireless is fun. It's freeing. I love the way it feels. And I never thought I would say that. But here we are, people with tube. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Have you tried wireless? Did you like it? Did you not like it? You know, if you liked it, why did you like it? If you didn't like it, why? Also, do you think there's something in what I said about the psychological aspect of not being tethered to your amp or pedal board? You know, if you don't have a lead there, if you're completely free, it's just you and your guitar, and you kind of like, you know, because I know some people don't like that feeling of separation. They like to feel like they're tethered in. And I did. And that was my main argument against wireless. I was like, no, I like to feel tethered in. But that's changed now. But yeah, what do you think, people? Let me know in the comment section below. Other than that, I'm going to get off. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Also, let me know if what you heard difference-wise between the lead and the wireless as well. Because I'd be very curious to hear your comments on that as well. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching, people with tube. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, and goodbye now. Oh, and if you like the channel, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Links down in the description box below. Your support is very, 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 very much appreciated. If you're on Patreon, you're a legend. Thank you very much indeed. Like I say, you keep his channel going. Without Patreon, I won't be able to do this. So thank you so much indeed. If you're on Patreon, it means the world to me. Thank you so much. And I'm going to get off now before I get too silly. Thank you very much. See you later. Goodbye now.